Okay. That's live. No, but we're live. I will find it for
Call
you.
meeting to order. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Oh my God. Oh gosh. Alderwoman Naylor.
Here.
Alderwoman Starr.
Here.
Carrie.
Here.
Alderman Plackty.
Here.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Yes.
And Alderwoman Polson.
I'm here.
And the mayor.
And the mayor. We have a quorum.
Oh, well. Welcome to all visitors. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Mr. Bradshaw, can you hear me tonight? Excellent, because I know there was a problem last week. Thanks, sir. All right. We will move on to the consent agenda. Woman Eller.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. All in favor? 6-0. Thank you very much. Mayor report. All right, new flags are flying at City Hall. They finally came in, I got them put up today. So, and I want to thank Mr. Bradshaw for pointing out that they were in faded condition and they needed to be replaced, so well done, sir. We got those changed. I'm gonna pontificate just a minute. Sean and I agree, and we've talked many times, that it's just not business as usual at City Hall anymore. Not meaning that anything in the past was bad, but we do things a little more by the book. And again, not that anybody was doing anything by the book, not by the book earlier, but anyway, I'll continue. But to continue to do what you've always done, you're always going to have what you've got. And if you don't move forward, you know, you're not going to move forward. If you do move forward, you're going to go against the grain of public trust in many cases. So it's my belief that local leaders have a responsibility to cultivate, earn, and defend civic trust. There's just no question about it that in our community, we have an issue, and in cases understandably so, with citizens trusting and demonstrating confidence in their local government. As we got an upcoming strategic planning event coming up in April, and part of that upcoming strategic planning, I'm going to be working together with the city administrator and the board, and we are going to work together on developing some key strategies that will provide better communication with our citizens with the goal of earning civic trust. These efforts will likely include citizen-led groups for civil conversation that will recognize and bring to light past issues that have potentially caused a disconnect, but doing so not with malice, but with the intent of helping our community move forward with the focus on recommendations and planning to improve relations between local government and the citizens it serves. So what this means is we're going to work together to bridge some gaps that do occur, that do exist, and we know that, and we recognize that. We want the city government and its citizens should be working like this, not like this. And we're going to do what we can together as a group with our city officials and our city administrator and myself to better improve relations with the city. And that's something that's very, very important to me, is to get that working a little bit better. So I want to just put that out there. What else we got? That's really all I've got for now. So I will move.
Mayor, do you want me to read the
Yes.
Daughters of the American
Yeah,
Revolution?
you found it, Shauna.
I
Please
did.
do.
We have a letter that was provided to us regarding an employee, so we just wanted to recognize that employee tonight. He was unable to be here, but The Daughters of the American Revolution wrote this letter. So, to whom it may concern, if job descriptions for city employees include categories of customer relations and or other duties as assigned, we want to take this opportunity to give Randy Johnson a rating of 10 in both for his patience and willingness to help in answering questions and assisting us with the local chapter DAR America 250 bench project. He was available and most helpful for the 2 times we visited the plant, and his pleasant attitude in answering questions made us very comfortable in asking them. He presented a very professional face of Odessa, which we wanted to make known to his supervisor and city officials. Thank you again for the city's help in making this project a success. So this is related to the DAR grant project for the bench. So we had ordered, I believe it was 14 benches and like 17 trash cans, and they came on a large semi, and I assumed that they could be delivered to the police warehouse. And when the truck arrived, we realized that the pallets were too large to go through that door. So we had to scramble, and we called Kenny, and Kenny's like, "Oh yes, immediately bring them here. We'll take care of them for you until they're needed." And Kenny's employee Randy helped in assembling all of the benches and trash cans for us, and then coordinated with the ladies of the DAR to get their grant needs and obligations checked off. So
Great. And Alderman Ellert and I went out to Railroad Park where this new bench is going to be located, and we decided right under the bulk cypress where there's a tribute to Merle Doubt that we're going to put that bench right there on a concrete
We
pad.
were also present for the presentation of the DAR bench that they made out there
Yes.
as well. So
Yeah, we were. That was a nice.
we got to see Randy's good handiwork. The
Randy
benches
did,
are beautiful.
Randy did a great job. All right, moving on to the Alderman reports. Alderman Flaherty.
I have nothing to report today.
Alderman Kerrigan.
Just echoing, good job, Randy. Good job, wastewater, for being a good face, good steward. I have fielded a lot of concerned citizens calls this week regarding the 1912 building and a couple other concerns that I'm digging into. We may hear from some of them today during the community portion, but there's a lot of heartache out there, which I think a lot of us are hearing from. So that's all I got today. All right.
Alderman Paulson.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Reed.
Alderman Ellert.
Nothing now, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Starr. Alderman Gary.
I would just like to indicate that I received a call in reference to the chip and seal that was done last year, and then with the storms that came through and your tireless efforts to clear the streets, that has subsequently caused a little bit of concern and a lot of citizens that have a lot of problems within their driveways, their parkways, just because of everything that has been done. You were out Friday. I contacted your office. I understand your sweeper is not available yet. You have the parts coming in, and I've been informed that the sweeper will be able to come out and assist our residents. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, sir. All right. City Administrator report.
good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen.
I think it's okay.
Don't mind.
So I'll just get started with the Parks Department. The soccer recreation program commences today with nearly 400 participants registered. We also have the registration for baseball and softball, which will remain open until March 23rd. And we are beginning to do preparations to get the pool facility ready and underway for the upcoming season. For the wastewater department, sewer jetting operations will be conducted as weather conditions permit, or now that they are permitting, I should say. So that's going to be a main focus. Each year, the wastewater department, as vegetation starts to come up, we have quite a few manholes that are kind of in woods and brush areas. So they go in and locate all of those so they're easily accessible during the growth, vegetation growth periods of the year. So they'll be working on that. And then just mostly routine maintenance of mostly routine maintenance for the wastewater department. For the police department tonight, school resource officer Sam Bell will be participating in the Donkey Basketball fundraiser for the project graduation. So that will be held tonight. And the police department is working on an inspection of Park Place, which is located at 16 East Orchard, as they have currently the lack of a property maintenance manager and some major code safety concerns that are over there. So that's been a priority for the code enforcement department right now. And then we are still post the 917 issues that came out of the outlet mall. We are now planning to meet with the outlet mall owner to work towards a resolution, and we're getting updates from him every 2 weeks. So we'll continue to do that until all of the issues are resolved. We have a police focus group meeting this Thursday on the 13th. Last week we had the Milo system, which was located at City Hall, that allowed our police department to kind of go through different scenarios that could occur in their positions and train for those. So that was very successful for our department. And then we did have a burglary that had occurred over the weekend, but I don't usually point out those types of things that happen in Odessa, but I wanted to point out one, the hard work and dedication that our police department does, and utilizing the resources and equipment that we have. So that incident happened, and then we utilized the LPR system, the license plate reader system, to help us identify that suspect, and we know who that is, and we're working towards solving that crime. So I just wanted to let you guys know that our equipment and resources are put to good use, and they're in good hands with our police department and our detectives. We are also working on getting an upgrade to our phone system. So we currently have a phone system called MyTel. That business has been purchased by another company, so we're working on getting the quotes and figures and working to implement a new phone system for for citywide, all departments. So we'll bring you, when we make that decision, we'll bring you that contract, and it'll be approved by the Board of Aldermen when we get there. We also, something else that we'll probably come back to, maybe the Board of Aldermen, or we'll have Josh come and talk about it. But there's a statewide program that was just introduced called the Missouri Blue Shield program. It's kind of like the Purple Heart cities. It gives our city the dedication of being a Missouri Blue Shield city, which states basically our city and city staff, as well as our elected officials and the community as a whole. And it shows that we are dedicated to the law enforcement and community law enforcement that we have in town, and opens this up for additional grant opportunities as well. So we're wanting to, we have all the qualifications to be categorized underneath that program. So it's something that we would like to pursue. So I just wanted to let you know about that. The focus group, I know I mentioned that they're meeting this week, but I also wanted to add that they are getting a lot closer to something that looks more like a recommendation for you all. So our next meeting, we'll focus our conversation on recommendations and what that looks like, and the format behind that. So I just wanted to let you know that we're getting a lot closer than we have been. So progress is being made. And yes, for water and street, focusing on potholes post-winter. That's when the potholes always come up, so that's still a priority for the street department. They're also working on the bathroom renovations here at the community building. So they're getting very close to completing that. Sheetrock is going up this week and today and this week, and then the partitions will arrive tomorrow as well. So we're getting very close, and we're excited to see what that looks like. We also hired a new employee in our water department. He started today. We've also lost an employee in our street department and our electric department. So gained one and lost two, but that's okay. We'll still work diligently to fill those positions. We're grateful to be able to fill the water position because it did take us quite a while to find someone that was a good fit for that. Along with the potholes, the street department will also be focusing on street cut repairs. We have a water leak on Connor Street, which is being addressed. We've replaced 40 foot of the area of line in the area, and then we'll be replacing another 20 feet of line on Connor for that one. Now that once Pine Creek is dedicated and the infrastructure comes over to the city, that will allow our water department to begin putting the connections in, our electric department to put the secondary in, and any sewer connections as well. So the water department will be focusing the next few weeks on adding those 16 water tap connections for Pine Creek. So that'll be a heavy lift for the department. And we do have a few employees that will be going to a water training in Smithville on April 2nd. And Darren's also looking into getting our contract terminated with our current water tower maintenance company and then moving to another one in an effort to save dollars. So that will come before the board as well once we get to that point. For the electric department, the bollards and light poles have been delivered to the electric department for the downtown project. So that was a big project for us. If you remember, Navigate, they had suggested that we bid that out separately from the project, so we weren't impacted by any lead times or anything like that. It turned out to be even better than we thought. The price of steel and things like that have increased significantly since we placed that order and did that bid. So overall, I would say the savings by going out for bid separately has increased beyond what our original anticipation was for savings for that. Those all have been delivered. Troy's, he's going to set up one of the bollards, so it'll be at City Hall and you guys can see what it looks like. One of the items in the capital improvement plan is this year's capital improvement plan is a substation security fence and gate. So, and the replacement of that. So that will be installed this month before the fiscal year ends. One of the things that we had budgeted for a couple years now, I think, is a new SCADA system. So we had an opportunity to get that new SCADA system through MPUA, and they have a program to help us with that. But the time restriction on that has been quite a bit longer than we anticipated. But that is slated to be installed here very soon. I mentioned that they'll be installing the secondary here shortly for Pine Creek. We did have some storm damage that resulted in two poles that were in need of replacement. So those are being worked on this week. As for community development, we have I Love Odessa Day this weekend, Friday and Saturday. So as you know, the churches, they put together the I Love Odessa program, and the city provides dumpsters, and not only dumpsters, but the services to help you unload and get things out of your vehicle that may be heavy for you and put those into the dumpster. So we'll have staff at Dyer Park with the dumpsters near the park maintenance shed by the rodeo arena from 8 to noon on Saturday to collect if anyone's doing any spring cleaning or anything like that. You have the ability to bring that to Dyer Park to be disposed of at no charge. We do ask that it's for residents and residential use and no commercial use. So by doing that, by monitoring that, we're asking that two loads per resident. So.
Also, you should mention no tires
Yes, no tires. We'll take electronics. We can't do any hazardous waste.
No pain.
Yes, no
Same
hazardous
requirements
waste.
that you can't throw anything. And this is rain or shine, right?
Yes. As far as I'm aware, it's rain or shine. We have a planning and zoning meeting coming up on March 20th where we will be discussing the replat of at Benning and Spring Street for the duplexes that are there. And we will also be continuing our discussion, our zoning discussion, and we have an activity for the planning and zoning commissioners to kind of think through some theoretical zoning items. So that will be, it was scheduled for last month. It was canceled due to the extreme cold and rescheduled for this month, March 20th. And then we also have 312 East Benning. There's a duplex unit there, both A and B, and it has recently been issued its occupancy. One of the things I wanted to update you all on is the ZMDR contract with the wastewater department. So as most of you guys know, we executed that contract with ZMDR. Our engineers helped us with the original calculation for that contract, and it was based off of the standard quantity, standard numbers of BODs in typical waste. And when we originally talked with them, they were comfortable with that and everything was fine. Once we got that approved, we realized that the formula itself was not going to work with the waste that they were bringing us. So at the beginning of the term, they were bringing us actual waste from their operations. Their operations discontinued. So we're, because of the DNR requirements for them to dispose of their waste, they were still having to bring it to us, even though it wasn't waste. It was really just the treated water they were using to clean their facilities still had to be delivered to us. So when we plugged in the BOD quantities and numbers into the formula that we started with, that our engineers created, that it didn't work because the BOD levels were so low and the formula was accounting for a standard level. So we went back to ZMDR and told them that we needed to redo the formula and we would need to do a contract amendment in order to do that. And they were comfortable with that. They were okay with that. We worked on the formula, got the formula revised and sent it to them with an updated invoice. And again, they were comfortable with that. They said they would get it right back to us, and they have not gotten anything back to us, including the amended contract or the invoices. So we'll continue to work. We can work with our attorneys and things to try to figure out what the best plan of approach is, but I wanted to update you guys on that. The positive here, and the positive in my opinion, is that we saw this as an opportunity to provide relief to the wastewater fund that's in desperate need of relief, and it was a very low risk item for the wastewater fund. The work that was involved really accumulated to staff time and managing those deliveries and things like that. But the city of Odessa did not have to expend anything to provide these services more than our normal operations. So it was a very low risk effort, and
They're not bringing anything to us now.
no, they have not been, no. So I just wanted to update you guys on that and let you guys know where that is. I have two more things on here before we get done. An update on Doppler. So they did call me today, actually, just to let me know where they are. This is our emergency response management software that we budgeted for this fiscal year and annually after that. So this is the call system that will allow our residents to provide the information regarding a power outage or water leak or whatever the emergency is, and then that's filtered through an app and immediately regurgitated for our staff to be able to manage the situation without having to answer all of the phone calls that come in directly from residents to our superintendents. So they've been working on the engineering and getting everything set up for that to mold it to our needs. And they feel that they will be done in the next couple of weeks. And we'll start our training process in likely 2 weeks is what they said. So just wanted to give you a quick update on that because it is moving along and it will be a huge benefit once we get it up and running. Hopefully we can get it up and running before we get into too many spring storms and things like that. So. And lastly, the wayfinding signs. I've been working on the wayfinding signs, and I was gently reminded by MoDOT that before we install our signs, we need to get a sign permit from MoDOT. So I'm starting the sign permit part of the project. So we've been working with MoDOT to better identify where exactly each sign needs to go. There's a rule that they have that our signs cannot be within 200 feet of any of their signs. Well, that's very, very, very difficult to do because they have a lot of signs. So we just asked MoDOT directly to tell us where to put the signs, and they've done that. So now we just need the permit. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I want to go back for just a second to the mayor's report and clarify a statement that I made when I said that we're not doing business as usual. That might lead you to think that past administrations weren't doing business as they should, and that's not what I'm saying at all. Just want to clarify that. It just means we're doing things different with regard to leadership style, with a heightened focus on communication. I just want to make sure that's clear. All right, moving on. All right, public comments. I believe Terica, you have something you want to, Terica Jones, public comments. State your name and if you're in the ward, what ward you're in.
Hello, my name is Terica Jones. I know some of you already, but for those that don't know me, my husband and I bought the wedding venue, the Hilltop, just outside of city limits in 2023. We also own property in town in both Ward 1 and Ward 3, and hope to contribute to the economic vitality of Odessa in the near future by opening other small businesses in Odessa. I currently serve on the Odessa Chamber of Commerce as Vice President under Kelsey Leggett, and I'm passionate about both business and small towns as I grew up in a small town. First, I would like to say that I greatly appreciate your guys' time and consideration this evening. I know that these meetings take away from your personal life. That's not lost on me for sure. I applaud your deep sense of purpose and responsibility to others and to this community. Let's face it, we know you're not in it for the money. Mayor Barnes, your comments during the opening of the meeting were inspiring to hear that the city is wanting to grow in new ways and to not continue to do business as usual. Is great, and I hope that you would consider working closely with the chamber and the new downtown group whenever you start those quests for feedback and partnership to help Odessa grow and increase in economic vitality. The phrase economic vitality I'm going to use a lot tonight, so I apologize for repeating myself. I'm not sure if it's been addressed or what knowledge you have of it, but the two former downtown groups, Downtown Odessa Inc. and the Downtown Merchants Group, are merging and forming a committee under the Odessa Chamber of Commerce, and they will be operating similarly to the way that the rodeo committee works. We've had a couple of meetings now, and turnout's been great. There's been a lot of new energy and fresh ideas aimed at breathing into new life into the downtown corridor. It's really exciting stuff to see people that you don't see at these meetings or at the chamber meetings that are excited and care about downtown Odessa. With that said, there has been expressed concern in many areas, and I am a big proponent of communication. We can't solve problems if there's no communication. And as you said before also in your greeting, there seems to be some mistrust and some general communication issues. But whenever I heard that, I was really surprised because everybody that I've interacted with in this room, that's not been my experience. So I was the first one to raise my hand and say, I'll go and talk. So here I am. Don't shoot the messenger. There is concern about vacant buildings downtown, underutilized space, which is significant, There's a problem. The footprint of downtown Odessa is already small, and there's a lot of buildings that are not operating as businesses. They're not contributing economically to the city of Odessa. That's a problem. Perhaps the city and the aldermen would be open to a proposed ordinance of some sort that would, like a progressive tax penalty for buildings that sit vacant, that aren't operating economically and contributing to the city. We are all very excited about the sidewalk project. The city making a significant investment in the beautification and walkability of downtown is exciting. We want to make the most of that investment and encourage foot traffic, but many businesses are worried about the time between now and then, how the sidewalk project will affect them, and they want to know if there's an update on when that will start and when the project is set to be finished. We have a huge potential to draw people to Odessa and would love to see the city behind us in efforts to increase tourism. There are wedding venues just outside of town. The venues bring in tens of thousands of visitors annually. Those visitors could be coming into Odessa, spending money in Odessa, staying in Odessa. That's not the case right now. We have antique shops, beautiful ice cream stores, bakeries, and we want the visitors that are already coming and passing by on I-70 to know this is where we should stop and where we should stay and where we should play and spend our money. That's good for business owners, and that's good for the city of Odessa. Another concern that's been raised is the difficulty of starting a business in Odessa. I've heard concerns about high utility costs for business owners and occasional disconnects or difficulties with city personnel regarding information on codes, construction, and other city regulations. How can we work together to make it easier and more appealing to start a business in Odessa? Let's face it, if they're starting a business in Odessa, they're probably not the owner of Costco. This is probably their first time opening a business. It's very likely. So how can the city work together to create and implement strategies to make it easy for businesses to come to Odessa, for residents to decide, you know, I'm going to quit my 9 to 5 and I'm going to open a business in Odessa and serve the residents or visitors of Odessa. I think that would be a great topic to discuss at one of the meetings, like what you're talking about in your greeting. Additionally, there is concern about the old school building. As Alderman Kerrigan said, I have heard a lot. People say, how is it safe for seniors? But it was deemed unlivable as an elementary school. That doesn't make sense to people. It sits on a huge piece of land, and its value is exponentially higher than the rumored $100,000 it was sold for. That doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Was this prime real estate considered for other uses or opened up to competitive offers before closing the deal? People want to know that. Instead of being developed into something that could contribute to the economic vitality of Odessa, it's now set to add more residential space to an already small downtown footprint. This raises a larger question. Does the city and its aldermen see tourism as a viable stream of revenue for Odessa, or is the plan for Odessa to become primarily residential? This is a big question from downtown businesses and drastically changes the types of businesses that will thrive here. Converting the school into senior living apartments suggests a focus on housing rather than business growth and tourism, which are critical for sustaining the charm and economic success of our downtown businesses. Research and past experiences, such as the grocery store initiative, have shown us that many Odessans aren't spending their money in Odessa. They're going to work outside of Odessa, and they're spending their money between work and home. Tourism could bring in sales tax revenue, and it could help fund much needed projects like the police station that Chief Thompson and the men and women that serve our community desperately need. We would love to collaborate with the city on balancing tourism efforts and the needs for residents to achieve sustainable development and economic vitality for Odessa. Again, I thank you guys for your time and consideration.
Very good, Erica. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other public comments tonight? All right. First thing I need to do is have a motion to amend the agenda. We need to have a motion to approve the appointment of Mike Plackty as liaison to the Planning and Zoning Board. He has agreed to go to the Planning and Zoning Board meetings and bring that information back, so we have kind of a little information to go on ahead of time. This was actually a request by the Planning and Zoning Board to make this happen, and I think it's a great idea, and I appreciate Mike being willing to step up. So if anyone would like to make the motion to appoint Alderman Plackty as liaison to the Planning and Zoning Board, I take that motion.
So,
Make a motion to
do we
amend the
need to
agenda.
amend?
Amend the agenda, yes, I'm sorry, to amend the agenda so that we can do that.
I'll make a motion to amend tonight's agenda to add the assignment of Mike to the planning.
Do you have a second?
Yeah.
All in favor? The agenda is amended, and now we will have a vote to accept the appointment of Mike Plackty as the liaison to the Planning and Zoning Board.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor? 6-0. Thank you. And thank you, Mike. All right, moving on. We have no old business, so we'll go on to the new business. And this is Bill number 2025-07, introduction and readings of Bill number 2025-07, accepting the public works improvement within and for the Pine Creek subdivision in Odessa, Missouri. First reading. I take a motion to approve the reading.
I'll make a motion to approve bill number 2025-07, first and second reading, Pine Creek dedication of public improvement.
This is for the first reading, correct?
First reading.
Yes. Have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? 6-0. Time for discussion.
How many stop signs are over there?
That's not.
Oh, that's the next one.
I'll just say I was concerned about the sidewalk had got put in against the long fitting. Carla looked up on the documents here, and it is in their contract to do that,
Very good.
so, or the dedication, I guess. That-
The dedication. I have a concern or a question, maybe. So if you look on page 23 of this, and I realize the contract was signed in 2022, but it says under street notes that they would apply the APWAKC Metro specs. And then another thing it says about the erosion and sediment for the city of Wardsburg. Why would those things be in there if it's Odessa?
I'll defer to Sean on that.
I have to check into that. Let me
Page 23.
Page 23.
find it.
It's just a typo.
It could be a typo.
There's quite a few relating to other.
This is the contract. Where to find it? Sorry, let me just get it pulled up here really quick.
So tiny.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, you get the,
Yeah, I was actually looking for the sidewalk stuff and some other things when I started reading through there. I was like,
This is the,
And where is that at, on which, the first column?
if you look under the
Number
in the middle, it says street notes. And then look in there.
are you talking about the maintenance bond part of it? Or no?
Page 23, it's
23 of our agenda.
Yeah, page 23 of our agenda. It's the improvement plan for town. It's the actual plan.
At the top there.
Page 23 of our packet, sorry.
Oh, I see.
It references that there. Street, yeah, okay, I see.
For the APWA portion of it, that would be, the APWA requirements would be sufficient for, that's what we follow. It would be APWA for Kansas City area. But the references to Warrensburg, I am not,
That's under erosion and sediment. I noticed those two things, I haven't read it all the way through. I just was wondering, do they use these notes, this plan for other cities? Did it not get changed out? The language get changed out? I don't know.
yeah, so whenever we would have approved this, it should have gone to our engineers to review that portion of the plans themselves, the construction plans. But I would assume that it's just, I don't see where it's referencing that. I will have to check with them to better understand why it's referencing that, or if it is just a like Scribner's error of some sort.
Okay. Certainly. I mean, I get it, mistakes are made or whatever, but I just would hesitate on moving forward with something that has different language.
Everything was approved of our specs.
Yeah.
So that might be a typo, I don't know, but we made sure that everything met our specs or better, so.
But it doesn't say that.
Right.
So, what if it
Yeah, I
says Warrensburg and Warrensburg is different than others, you've agreed to Warrensburg, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that said that.
I don't even see it. Okay, well, I would have to check before.
Should we bring this back?
Yeah, I guess I'd bring back.
And then a question on that too, since it was in 2022, our specs as of then, because now we require geomat on streets and stuff, so they didn't have to comply with that for us.
Correct.
They did not, but the GeoGrid is not currently in our ordinance. That
Right.
still needs to be added.
It has to be added.
All right, well, that being the case, I would take a motion to postpone the bill number 2025-07. That's what we're going to do.
Is there an opportunity to, I don't know, if there's an opportunity to approve it contingent on like whether or not that's a Scribner's error or not? I only see the Warrensburg reference one time in the document.
If we don't tonight, it just holds up this
Yeah, it will-
dedication and we get done.
It will delay us getting the connections in for them, which we would like to get done sooner rather than later, because we're kind of in that in between where we're not as busy. We don't have paving happening and things like that. Just pushes us a lot closer to the paving issues or paving season.
We want to bring it back, so, but
I
yeah,
would
we
like
can
to do
do
it
that.
contingent on changing Warrensburg to Odessa, if that's what it takes.
I have no problem. I don't have any problem with that.
Or how do we say
Warrensburg's
it?
only in the-
You just like you stated.
Okay. How would we say that on the approval?
A motion to approve the bill number 2025-07 contingent on the mention of Warrensburg being a Scrivener's error.
Okay, I'll try.
And we don't want to change the Kansas City thing, because you said that's ours.
No, that's standard.
Is discussion complete? Okay, we'll move on to the second reading then. Introduction and readings of bill number 2025-07, accepting the public works improvement within and for the Pine Creek subdivision in Odessa, Missouri. And I'll let Donna make the motion with the,
Okay, let's see, I will make a motion to approve the second reading and approve the bill as an ordinance with the exception of changing Warrensburg to Odessa. I don't know. Of the Pine Creek dedication of public improvement.
second. Got a motion and a second, roll call.
Oh, sorry. Alderwoman Ayler,
Yes.
Alderwoman Starr,
Yes.
Alderman Carey,
Yes.
Alderman Plackty,
Yes.
Alderman Kerrigan, Alderwoman Polson.
No.
Did you say yes or no, Kerrigan? Yes. Okay. So motion carries 5-1.
Okay, moving on to bill number 2025-08. First reading, introduction and readings of bill number 2025-08, amending chapter 46, traffic and vehicles, appendix A, traffic schedules, section 46A-2, schedule 2, stop intersections of the city of Odessa code of ordinances. I would take a motion to approve the first reading.
I'll make a motion that we approve bill number 2025-08, first reading to amend chapter 46, traffic and vehicle stop signs at Pine Drive and Johnson Drive.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? 6-0. Discussion? And that there is none, we'll move on to the second reading. Introduction and readings of bill number 2025-08, amending chapter 46, traffic and vehicles, appendix A, traffic schedules, section 46A-2, schedule 2, stop intersections of the city of Odessa code of ordinances, second reading. I would take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and approve the bill number 2025-08 to amend chapter 46, traffic and vehicle stop signs at Pine Drive and Johnson Drive, and approve as an ordinance.
Alderman Plackty seconds. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Alderwoman Ayler,
Yes.
Alderwoman Starr,
Yes.
Alderman Carey,
Yes.
Alderman Plackty,
Yes.
Alderman Kerrigan,
Yes.
Alderwoman Polson.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next is a resolution, 2025-05. Proposed resolution number 2025-05, authorizing the mayor to execute the pool management agreement for the 2025 season with Midwest Pool Management of America Limited, LTD. Discussion time.
We have Park Board Director or
Well, come on up,
President.
Jan.
Good evening. Hello. Did you guys have any questions on this? The park board did not have any concerns. The increases we felt were justifiable. The actual management fee only went up about $3,500 compared to last year. The salaries went up about $5,000 from last year, which is only a 3.5% increase for each of those hourly rates, which I think is actually fairly low. So nothing else in the contract changed other than those fees.
You guys still like them? Good.
We've kind of talked about it in the budget session, so.
Any further discussion? None. Thank you, Janet. And with that, I take a motion to approve. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Why do you do that?
What?
Go into that contract agreement.
Well,
Why does he do that instead of?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Because
Go into
it's
the contract agreement, why does he do that instead of?
You mean, why does the city do it?
the mayor executes all city agreements, and the park board goes underneath the Board of Aldermen.
Okay, I just always thought it was weird. For 7 years, I thought that was weird.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So now I take a motion to approve resolution 2025-05, proposed resolution number 2025-05, authorizing the mayor to execute the pool management agreement for the 2025 season with Midwest Pool Management of America, LTD. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-05.
Carl seconds. All in favor? 6-0. Thank you very much. And next up, is Shauna with the 2025-2026 proposed budget assumptions and capital improvements plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. I want to thank you for attending the past 2 budget workshops where we kind of changed things around a little bit and went with the discussion style as opposed to a presentation style. I think it worked really well for us. So tonight I'm presenting you the budget in its entirety. I've also included the line item budget that was sent out this weekend. So to start things off, we'll start with the fee changes and revenue projections. For building and construction, sorry that the slides are stickled funny, but sorry. We'll start with building and construction. So last year we had revised our building plan review fees to include to be based off of a fee that's 25% of the building permit fee. Something that we've kind of changed our operations on is, or we're changing and we're kind of wanting to move towards a different direction, if you will. But we are currently doing building plan review where IBTS reviews the building design and the plans themselves. And then we have a site plan review, which is where things like the Pine Creek, that's where Allstate would go in and review. So, and that's really a new change for us. We were not sending, I don't, to my understanding, unless it was a larger project, Pine Creek would have gone to Allstate. But unless it's a large project, they weren't all going to Allstate for plan review. But I felt like personally it was necessary that we have the engineers review all of our plans and not just some of the plans, but there is a cost associated with that. So what I'm proposing is that we have a building plan review fee and a site plan review fee. The other thing, along with, we've talked about sidewalks not being in our ordinance. We've talked about we just talked about where the geogrid is not in the ordinance. Something else that's not in the ordinance is the requirement for a site plan. So the site plan is what tells us everything we need to know about how that building is going to connect to our utilities, where the sidewalks are going to be, how everything pieces together beyond the building. And that is a crucial component to ensuring that the building is going to be safe for those that use it in the future, and those users being our residents. So I'm proposing this year that we make sure that we include a site plan review, and that would be at the cost of the engineering only. There's no additional inflation, no cost of staff salaries or administration fees or anything like that. It would just be what our engineers are charging us. Those developers will need to then pay that cost as well. So I also want to refer back to I intend for this to be, I think that I've tried to look at the community development fees as a whole. It kind of goes back to what Terica was talking about and the ease of going through this process. Definitely well aware that the process is not perfect and there's a lot of moving parts and very minimal staff. I do have the results, and we'll come back and circle back and do a discussion on this, but I have the results of EverStrive coming in and doing the department analysis. And one of the things that they strongly suggested that we do is look at, instead of trying to work towards kind of the itemized fee schedule when it comes to planning and zoning, move towards something that's a little bit more blanket application fee, and then look at our building permit fee schedule and how that's calculated. That's currently calculated off of a formula based on your permit size. If you look at other cities, there's ways to put structure within that to ensure that it's accurate. We're getting accurate information from the developers, but also doing it in a way that's simple and more understanding than the way that we currently have our
building permit fee schedule. So it kind of shifts my approach a little bit, but I don't have, it's something that needs to go to planning and zoning. It needs to come to the Board of Aldermen, so it will take time to make that adjustment. And right now, we're having to expend the cost of site plan review at no fee to counteract that. So this, personally, I feel like would be a kind of a temporary solution until we can kind of button up the fee structure as a whole to make it a lot more simple for our developers and those that are trying to build in Odessa.
Is there anybody having trouble hearing Shauna? Everybody's okay?
I don't think you're working very good. Okay, can you hear me better now?
That's better. Thank
Okay.
you.
You have Verizon now.
So in short, the suggestion by our consultants when looking at the community development department, one of many suggestions was to look at our fee schedule. And due to that needing to be something that goes in front of planning and zoning and then the Board of Aldermen, I think some pretty elaborate discussion will be needed, mostly with the planning and zoning board, to make those changes and simplify things for our developers. This is a solution in between to counter the fact that site plan review by our engineers is not something that we're receiving compensation for. And I want to reiterate as well that it's not, it's something that we need the planning and zoning board to also take a look at our ordinance to put that requirement in, that a site plan, an engineered site plan should be a requirement at minimum. Okay, moving on, we have our parks and recreation fees. In the fee schedule, you'll see that we've added a few fee items that were kind of just to clean up and make sure that they were included in the schedule fees. We've added pickleball, outdoor pickleball for doubles teams at $50. And then we also added the water aerobics cost at $5. But overall, as a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Board, they have suggested the increase of our pool fees. And you can see on one slide here, we have the comparison to other cities. We have where Odessa currently is. We have Lexington, Higginsville, Richmond, Concordia, and Oak Grove, with the caveat that Oak Grove is looking to increase their fees in 2025. So based on those comparisons, the park board suggests that the family pool pass for a family of 4 go from $200 to $250. Each additional member would be going from $30 to $40. The daily fee would go from $5 to $6. The swim lessons would go from $50 to $60. An individual pool pass will go from $90 to $110. And then the pool party rate will stay the same, but it will go from 2 hours to 1.5 hours to allow for more party slots available. Do you have any questions about fee changes? And then moving on to utility rates. One thing I wanted to mention in here is the trash rate. So as you all know, we are contracted with Republic, and that rate increases 4.5% each year. So the new trash rate starting April 1 would be $20.84. That's included in your fee schedule under utilities. Moving on to our water rate, we have by ordinance, the base rate increases 3%, while the cost per 100 gallons stays the same at 55 cents per 100 gallons. The base rate increasing from $26,985 to $27,794. Wastewater charges, we have no proposed changes to the wastewater rates for this upcoming fiscal year. The base rate, as well as the cost per 100 gallons, which typically always stay the same, those will continue to stay the same. And the zero rate, which is based off of debt and capital needs, will stay flat at $9.64 per month. As for the electric rates, we do have an ordinance that states the electric rates both per kilowatt and the customer charge will increase by 3%. So on the energy sales slide, you can see for residential, commercial, industrial, and then our demand primary metered, all increased by the 3% calculation. Moving on to our general fund revenue streams. We have real estate tax where these are all assumed off of the previous year's budget with some caveats. So real estate taxes, we plugged in a 1.5% increase. Personal property tax, we'd actually have a larger increase. It's 16% off of last year's budget, but a little bit of a smaller percentage when you're looking at it based off of our projected year end for this year. So the projected year end is what is allowing us to increase the personal property ever so slightly. It's still not a significant raise, and we're still cognizant of the legislation that has gone through to allow for senior citizens to have an exemption from paying personal property. County use tax sales receipts, we do have a large increase on that. This just again brings us up to where our current year's actuals are for the fiscal year, for this current fiscal year. I did speak to the county, and they're under the impression that this is not going to increase at as high of a rate that it has been in the past few years, so we're cognizant of that as well. County sales tax, this one, we have a large increase again. I mentioned at our last presentation when we were discussing the revenue, when you're comparing these increases to 24-25, we budget off of the previous year's budget, and that has started to kind of catch up to us with this year's fiscal year, this upcoming budget fiscal year being such a tight budget and being so difficult to kind of close. It caused us to really have to dig into each of these revenue sources and budget based off of projected and not just the previous year's budget. Budgeting off of the previous year's budget does allow for a more conservative approach as opposed to this, but like I said, the general fund was in need of taking a much deeper dive in order to be able to balance the budget this year. So motor fuel shows a large increase again for that same reason, just trying to right size that based off of actuals. Franchise taxes, those are something we have to kind of keep an eye on. They are starting to fluctuate and sometimes decrease at times. So we're just trying to keep our thumb on those to kind of see what's going on. But franchise taxes are not as big of a thing as they used to be. And our revenue trends are changing when it comes to those franchise taxes. For transient guest tax, we just have, this is a 5% rate based off of sales for our hotels or motels. So we just have one business in town that contributes to the transient guest tax. So this is for that line. City stickers, that's a part of, comes in with our real estate tax. So we just have a minimal increase for that. And merchant license, we're keeping that flat this year. Building permits, I'm showing a larger increase. Building permits is a very difficult one to budget for. We've had a conservative approach on the past year's budgets because of the fluctuations. The revenue is very dependent on how many people are doing projects in Odessa for that year. So it's a little bit difficult to be able to keep a tab on where that revenue is going to be. But again, this is us right sizing that because the last few years they've come in relatively high. Cigarette stamps remains flat, fines and court costs remains flat. Animal impound we've decreased, but that's mostly because of the vacant position. We've had a significant less amount of animals impounded for this fiscal year. But looking at the past year trend, we felt it was beneficial to lower that income. We have the dog licenses and the UTV. It's not an ATV. We always write ATV and ATVs are not allowed. The UTV permit fee, those are remaining flat. This year, we're also including the school resource officer income and the special duty reimbursement. So the school resource officer, we invoice the school and then they pay us for the grant-funded SRO position. So this is encompassing that income we receive from the school district, and the special duty reimbursement would be for the church security agreement that we have in place. Moving on to personal services or personnel projections. We currently have a 6% salary increase proposed. So I know we talked about this last time, and I just want to, I guess, explain my 6% salary increase. We've talked about in our budget workshops, kind of where we are on personnel and the need for the compensation to be addressed. I personally know the sentiment of our staff and where they stand and where they feel and where their morale is. And we are at a place that it's very difficult to keep our employees. And I felt like this 6% salary is a small way to make sure that they understand that we care about their employment and we are that we need them to be able to provide the great services that we provide. Another thing that goes hand in hand with this is that we have the health, dental, and vision at a 6% increase. We don't know the exact increase that we'll receive for our health premiums this year, but that impacts our employees and their take-home salary directly. We do know from NPR that it will increase. We've been beneficial to, or we've been lucky to have had no 0% increases the past couple of years, and they've lately said that the premiums will be increasing this year. We also have the assumptions of FICA at 7.65%, and then our Missouri Loggers Pension Program. Those did slightly change, so we have 8.7% for all general employees contributed, and then 8.4% for police. For benefits, 2 years ago, we had put in that for the HSA health benefits plan only, the city would pay for the, the deductible. Thank you. The city would pay for the deductible for employees only, in an effort to get more employees to sign up for the HSA plan, which is the cheapest premium plan, as opposed to the INO plan, which is the most expensive plan. We felt like it would be beneficial to the city to incentivize those to move from the most expensive to the cheapest, and we did that by providing the deductible amount on their HSA cards for family, employee, or employee and spouse, employee and children, and employee and family. So the city will contribute, if you're on one of those plans, to $3,300, and for employees only $1,650. So this fiscal year, that's changing from $1,600 to $1,650 and $3,200 to $3,300. Which those, to my understanding, those are set. Those rates are set federally for HSA contributions. The next few slides, we just have a comparison by department, and then we have mention of our change to the building maintenance position, or I'm sorry, by department for general fund, and we have the mention of the building maintenance position split difference. So we have the building maintenance position; it's currently vacant, and it's paid for out of the general fund, and then our 3 utility funds we're contributing to split the costs by 4s with the general fund. So each of those funds we're paying into the general fund in order to help cover the cost of the building maintenance since it's a citywide position. The change that we have this year is having the park fund also contribute. So that salary is actually split into 5 different funds. And then moving forward, the building maintenance position will report to Joey with the parks maintenance, in the park maintenance supervisor position. Next, we have the comparison by department for the other funds, the electric fund, water fund, wastewater, and parks split by their operational departments inside of parks. This also includes part-time wages and the minimum wage increasing from $12.30 to $13.75. Any questions so far? Moving on to the street plan, transportation sales tax fund, and the CIP fund and ARPA fund. So if you'll flip over to the street plan pages here, this is the 2025 street plan. As Darren mentioned, we will be focusing a little bit more on overlay and less on chip seal this year. So the streets that are including overlay will be Opera House Lane, Hereford, Broken Dollar, Jennings Street, Rose Circle, North Russell, North 3rd Street, South 4th Street, and 400 block, South 4th Street, 500 block, McDowell Avenue, Remington Drive, East Marion, and East Benning. All will receive overlay for 2025. I've also included the 2024 Pine Creek contribution to half of Benning for that project. We paid for that in 2024, and we said that we would reduce our next year's budget so that money could kind of come out of next year's budget. So just accounting for that. For chip seal, 2025 chip seal, we have Moore Place, Clayton Place, Greeton Circle, Mount Hope, Lightner Circle, and Ozark Shoreline Circle. So if you remember last year, we had reduced our street plan budget in an effort to be able to put a portion of the street plan funds to the sidewalk project. So by doing that, we had to cut a lot of the cul-de-sacs out of the plan. So this year, we'll be putting those cul-de-sacs back into the plan and getting those completed. Any questions on the street plan? Moving on to the transportation sales tax fund. As I mentioned in the budget workshop, I found it to be extremely beneficial to split the transportation fund into 2 different tables, if you will, one being the street plan and the other being the sidewalk project. So the first table, you'll see the revenue versus expenses for the street plan, where you can see the transportation sales tax, half-cent sales tax income, we have interest income, and then we have a transfer from the general fund, which we typically have a transfer of about $46,000, and we were able to reduce that this year to $19,220. And then we have expenses. We have audit fees for the transportation sales tax fund to be audited, and we have the equipment rentals, which include the paver, roller, and mini excavator, which has been reduced from moving from a John Deere lease to a Caterpillar lease to a John Deere lease for the mini. And then we have the total street plan, which is it would be the 323,306 is the total street plan. And then moving on to the transportation sales tax fund, but the sidewalk project portion, there you can see the grant income for the sidewalk, $773,565. That has remained flat since 2021 when we received the second grant, but yet the cost of the project continues to increase. So we've had to reach from different areas to try to help close the gap on the project that continues to move. So as of right now, this project is in the budget for 2.683 to 11. And we anticipate additional costs whenever we bid again. So we're looking at changing scope or looking at different options, which I'll bring back to you all as soon as I have a viable option for you. But for all intents and purposes, the 2025-2026 budget is budgeted at, the project is budgeted at 2.683, utilizing last year's street plan difference at 198,055, a contribution from electric, 700,000, and a contribution from general fund at 600,000, which we've had in there for the past 2 fiscal years. And then a transfer from reserves, the transportation sales tax reserves. From the beginning of this project, we had put aside dollars for the sidewalk project in the transportation sales tax, and we had planned to use all of the reserves possible for the project. And that was how we planned to do the project, and we just keep on kind of trying to have to find different options for us. But we will staff are working on it with our engineers and with Navigate, who's doing a really great job of diving in and trying to figure out what our best options are. And we will come back and present to you those options as soon as we have them. So. Moving on to the capital improvement sales tax. Again, this has a half cent sales tax as a revenue source. It is primarily the only revenue source for the CIP fund, except for this year in 2025-2026. We'll also be bringing in the loan proceeds from the 2019 COP lease that we already had and is slated to be paid off in 2028. So that revenue is coming into the CIP fund as well as interest income, and then we are planning to use a portion of our reserves, which at this time, the CIP fund has a very healthy reserve balance. The expenses for the CIP fund for 2025 include the auditor fees, just like all the other funds. And then we have the CIP projects that we've got budgeted in the CIP plan. We have $69,000 for the parks, $524, which includes the street shed replacement for street, $76,000 for police, and $84,000 for admin. We also have the debt payment for the 2019 COP lease at $74,465. Again, that will be paid off in the next few years. And we have the city hall lease payment at $80,211. Annually, we do a transfer to the parks fund at $64,605 to help the parks fund pay for a smaller portion of the debt payment for the pool, which will also be paid off here in the next couple of years. So that's the CIP fund. And then another fund that's a little bit different for this year is the ARPA fund, because we have our 2 ARPA projects that we plan on completing or starting this spring. So we have for revenue, we have the transfer from reserves fund. So we received a little over $500,000 from ARPA dollars in one installment that went to this fund to sit in reserves. Then we received another installment of ARPA dollars for about another $500,000, and that went into the reserve fund. And now that this project is coming to fruition, this is where we pull that from reserves to actually expend the project. So we have the transfer from reserves, which is our ARPA dollars we received during the COVID pandemic or post-COVID pandemic. And then we have water's contribution to the project at $537,000 and wastewater's contribution to the project at $23,000. So that makes up our total revenue at $1.6 million, with the total project cost being $1.636. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions and you can't think of them right now, please email me as soon as possible so I can make any changes that there may need to be made. Any proposed changes from anyone individually between now and the next meeting would have to be agreed upon kind of by the entire board next meeting, but we also need to
approve the entire budget next week, so. Let me know as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, very good. Our next meeting will be March 24th, right here at 7 o'clock. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Jerry, also.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? 6-0, we are adjourned.
What, was it Donna and then Kerrigan?
Yes.
Holy heck, that